Hello and welcome to News Central Television. I am Lekon Onobanjo. The top stories at this hour. President Bola Tinubu to co-chair 11th Nigeria-South Africa Bi-National Commission session with President Ramaphosa. Terrorists strike Zamfara State, kill elderly, abduct 13. Namibia opposition leader accuses the presidential electoral process of being marred by chaos and alleged foul play. Details to come your way shortly. We begin the news at this hour with politics. The camps of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate Peter Obi have dismissed rumors of discussions for a joint ticket ahead of the 2027 presidential election. Speculation erupted on social media after photos surfaced of Atiku hosting Obi for breakfast at his residence in Zamfara State. Atiku later shared a video of the meeting on his official X account, captioned, and I quote, "It is breakfast time with my friend Peter Obi in the land of beauty," end of quote. The footage showed both leaders seated at a dining table, accompanied by others ready to share a meal. This meeting comes months after the deputy national spokesman of the People's Democratic Party, Ibrahim Abdullahi, hinted on a live political program that opposition leaders were exploring a potential merger to rescue the nation from collapse. However, both camps have firmly denied any formal talks about joint tickets. Staying with politics, a House of Representatives member Ikenga Ugochinyere has alleged plans for a major merger ahead of Nigeria's 2027 elections. Speaking in his Idiato hometown, Ugochinyere accused some PDP leaders of secretly collaborating with the APC to weaken the opposition. He revealed that discussions for a strong alliance aimed at unseating the APC are underway, emphasizing the need to protect the PDP structure. Ugochinyere called out those engaging in what he described as childish politics and urged party stakeholders to stay resilient. On constituency matters, he assured progress on water projects, scholarships, and infrastructure, affirming his commitment to campaign promises. Ugochinyere encouraged PDP members to remain steadfast, stating the party's role as Africa's largest opposition that cannot be undermined. And now to discuss this, we are joined by a public affairs analyst, Jide Ojo. Thank you so much, Mr. Ojo, for joining us on the news.
It's my pleasure. Good afternoon. Happy New Month.
Of course, same to you, sir. So how realistic is the prospect of a merger between the opposition parties like PDP and probably other political parties looking at the 2027 elections?
Well, it is feasible and it is possible, provided that they will swallow their ego and work for collective interest of their new merger. This was what they should have done well ahead of 2023 elections, which they failed to achieve. And there are school of thoughts that believe that if Peter Obi did not leave PDP, and Kwankwaso did not leave PDP for NNPP, the fortune of PDP returning to power in 2023 was one of their brightest chances. But they lost that because a house divided against itself cannot stand. You saw Peter Obi moving to Labour Party in May of 2022. And then Kwankwaso leaving for NNPP. And then you have five governors of PDP that refused to work for the presidential candidate of the party. So that was part of the reason why they lost the presidential election of last year. So if they have learned their lessons and they decide to form a merger, the question now is that the merger that those who will make a formidable merger for them are themselves in crisis.
Yeah.
Labour Party is still having leadership crisis. NNPP is having its own leadership crisis. And the PDP itself is having its own leadership crisis.
Can we dwell? Sorry to butt in. Can we dwell a little more on the PDP crisis? You know, there have been allegations of internal sabotage in the PDP, as even mentioned by one of the party members, Ikenga. Now, looking at the ability of PDP to probably be formidable and probably usurp the ruling party in the 2027 election, how would they be able to do that if we're still seeing this internal crisis play out, despite the fact that they've even come out to deny it?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was hinting at before you butt in. That for them to really be taken serious as a formidable opposition to APC, they need some house cleaning, they need some housekeeping, they need to first resolve their own internal challenge, after which they can now reach out to other strong opposition parties. Because you ask, what is Labour Party bringing to the table in this whole matter? It has only one governor, and even the only governor he has, the party has, is playing Esau and Jacob with himself. Recall the recent election that took place, the local government election that took place in Abia State, where a sitting governor deliberately ceded the victory of that should have come to Labour Party to Zenith Labour Party and Young People's Party, and that tells you a story. You know, if you want to be a formidable opposition, you need to grow more members, poach more from members of the National Assembly, from members of State House of Assembly, from Governors Forum. But APC, Labour Party has one state, Abducted has one state, NMPP has one state. Assuming without considering that even the three of them decided to work with PDP ahead of 2027, how formidable are they going to be? Because if care is not taken, the way PDP itself is going, it might lose some governors before the end of 2025. But it is in their enlightened best interest to resolve their own internal crisis. Then they will be able to forge a formidable merger, because what the Constitution actually says is that 9 months to election, you can still merge. But if we still have like 2 years ahead of the next general election, so the possibility of merger is there, but they must really first do some house cleaning before that time.
Well, then how would they do this house cleaning and resolve their problems where we are still hearing of allegations of people within the party working for the ruling party, allegedly anyway?
Well, you see, this is not new. In the 16 years of PDP, it used to be PDP and others. And the allegations was very right there that PDP was instrumental in destabilizing other political parties like Alliance for Democracy, like All Nigerian People's Party, like All Progressive Grand Alliance, like People's Progressive Alliance, PPA, that won 2 states in 2007 or 2011 elections. But by the next election, they didn't have any of these two governors. So what I'm saying invariably is that it's part of the tactics of the ruling party to always venture to destabilize the opposition so that they cannot form formidable opposition against it. So it's called divide and rule. But it is for these leaders of thought in the opposition parties to now understand the antics of the ruling party and see how they can circumvent them, those antics, and resolve their issues.
Okay.
For instance, I'm of the considered view that if Atiku Abubakar says that he's not going to run in 2027, it's going to calm down a lot of destabilization talk that is in PDP now. Because the reason why there is so much tension from the weakest camp in PDP is that they don't want Atiku Abubakar again in 2027. And I don't see Atiku Abubakar playing a second fiddle to any other person, whether it's P2B or anyone, if he's interested in a presidential ticket of 2027.
Okay.
So it has to start from there. For instance, in PDP, the whole idea of Damagu must go is because it is perceived that Damagu is the acting chairman of PDP, is loyal to Wike, that's the FCT minister.
Okay.
And you know, Wike and Atiku, as we speak today, are like sworn political enemies. So, by and large, this is a starting
okay.
for them.
All right.
If Atiku Abubakar will say, look, I just want to mentor somebody, support somebody to run in 2027, it will be a beginning of the resolution of whatever crisis is going on within the dominant PDP.
All right, maybe they'll be able to take, cue from your wealth of wisdom, Judy Ojo. But thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on the news. We appreciate that.
It's my pleasure.
Of course. Still in politics, the influence of Lagos leadership on Nigerian politics cannot be overstated. As the economic hub of the country, Lagos State plays a significant role in shaping national policies and agenda. The next governor of Lagos State will not only determine the direction of the state, but also have a profound impact on the country's political landscape. News Central's Idalani Omoni samples opinion of residents as names begin to emerge in contest for Lagos' #1 seat.
Lagos State plays a pivotal role in Nigeria's overall political landscape. As the economic hub of the country, Lagos State is a crucial contributor to Nigeria's GDP, accounting for approximately 26.7% of the country's total GDP and over 50% of non-oil GDP. The state's political landscape has a ripple effect on the country's economy, with major industries, financial institutions, and trade activities concentrated in Lagos. Consequently, there is intense interest in its leadership. This is the Lagos State Assembly, and the man at the helm of affairs here, the Speaker of the Assembly, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obased, has been touted to be one of the successors that will take over from Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Another interesting candidate is someone dubbed the Silent General in the presidency's circle, the president's son, Sheyi Tinubu. The conversation surrounding the 2027 Lagos State governorship election is already generating reactions. Is it not, however, too early for these discussions?
It's too early to talk about 2027 election. It's too early. Let Nigeria discuss much important thing now than 2027 election. Because what is holding Nigeria now, all of us, we are hungry. Even if they self will know who will be governor in 2027. Forget this, they are just doing this cause Sakama Jam.
There's no time that is not right for anything that has to do with how you network yourself to a political position. You know, it depends on the people, on the person who is in charge, because there's a lot of groundwork you need to do, even though it's not in a public space. They play politics on daily basis. You know, they network on daily basis. You understand? So it is when it becomes a timetable. That's when we know that, okay, this is a political era.
Public opinion is also divided on the suitability of these proposed candidates as Lagos governor.
My reservation is that will he be bold enough as a governor of Lagos State to distance himself from his father's influence and cronies and political associates and be totally independent to liberalize Lagos? That's what Lagos State needs.
During Fachola regime, Tinubu was Lagos State governor. When Ambode was Lagos State governor, Tinubu was Lagos State governor. As Sanwo-Olu has come in as Lagos State governor, Tinubu is the one in charge. I don't know, Lagos State is not his father's compound or kitchen. So Tinubu should go and rest. Yeah, if I mention Obasa, is a man that doesn't consider the foreigners. He has hatred for foreigners. I don't want to mention tribe. Irobo, Efik, Hausa, everybody are here. I don't want to mention tribe.
Names that are coming up to govern Lagos, they are all qualified in terms of eligibility. But the question is, if we get it right as a people where election results count, will they win?
While Sheyi Tinubu has yet to comment on these, despite endorsement by some groups, The Speaker, Mudashiru Obasa, seized the opportunity of the 2025 Lagos budget presentation to address the matter.
Let me state it on the before people here. Our intention is to promote our party on the platform of mandate. Also, becoming governor is secondary. It is something that I have not given a serious consideration. Nevertheless, that does not mean I am too young or lack experience to run. I do not need local validity to contest or run. If I officially I am contesting, I will do so from Agege.
Some youth groups and opposition parties have also begun to react to these developments, while other Lagosians believe that attention should be more focused on electoral process.
If things are working, I don't think attention will be shifted to 2027. That is like 2-3 years ahead. For me, that discretionary power given to INEC by Electoral Act is a misplaced one. We need to amend the Electoral Act to say INEC must transmit election result electronically, as that result should be null and void. And to get to that level, we are not ready, we are not yet serious as a people. Because we must reduce the level of human interference with the process. We are saying that, yes, this our country, this is the problem that's confronting us, and we are saying that INEC is not responsible enough to parade such discretionary power. For me, they should be stripped of that discretionary power.
Despite the next election being 3 years away, residents acknowledge that the battle for Lagos will be intense and the outcome will have far-reaching consequences for the state and the country. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Igbalani Omani.
Now, President Bola Tinubu will leave France on Monday for Cape Town, South Africa, to co-chair the 11th session of the Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission alongside President Cyril Ramaphosa. The presidential BNC, scheduled for Tuesday, December 3, will be preceded by a ministerial meeting on December 2, 2024, at the South African Parliament building in Cape Town. Tinubu and Ramaphosa will engage in substantive talks on a wide range of issues of mutual interest, including bilateral, regional, and international matters. Following Ramaphosa's inauguration for a second term in office, the two leaders will revisit the progress made since the 10th session of the BNC, which took place in Abuja from November 29 to December 1, 2021, and build on the commitments made at their June 2024 meeting in Johannesburg. Away from that, investigative journalist Fisayo Soyombo has recounted his experience during the detention ordeal with the Nigerian Army 6th Division in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Speaking as a guest on News Central's Breakfast Extra, he criticized the Army for leaking everything he shared with them to the illegal oil bunkers. The Nigerian Army, after the report of Soyombo's arrest by Division 6, confirmed the arrest, linking the investigative journalist with illegal oil bunkering.
The investigative reporter was released after 3 days in detention and intense social media pressure on the Army. He shared his experience while speaking as a guest on News Central's Breakfast Extra on Sunday. He explained that he was taken by soldiers while conducting an undercover investigation into the activities of illegal oil bunkers in the country.
The plan, as I've done with previous stories, I need to emphasize, as I've done with previous stories, the plan was always to go through the entire process and, as a result, obtain hard evidence, So it was also to go to them and say, okay, I'm trying to do this business. They gave me a budget of 18 to 22 to 23 million naira. I first had to go and look for that money. Yes. So I got connected to the bunkers. We had meetings. I first flew to Port Harcourt, have one meeting, talked, went back, they went to look for the money, and then we kicked off. We had to rent a truck. We had to speak with those who would steal the crude. We had to find a date. So the plan was to get the crude and to go sell in Enugu.
According to him, the illegal bunkers have some top officials of the Nigerian military as collaborators.
I was taken into 6 Div around evening. We got there maybe like 4 or 5, and I told them straight away that I wasn't an oil bunker. I was an investigative journalist and private detective. And I was shocked that when I got out Friday evening, I was, to my shock, bunkers were telling me who I was. Like, they called us from 6 Div. I'm quoting the smuggler, he said it in Pidgin. He said they called us from 6 Div and said, where did we find you? That you are an investigator. His exact words, that you are an investigator. We now started checking your profile. We saw interviews you granted TV stations. Is that true? This is a very serious situation that the army gets, let's even say that I'm an oil bunker, gets a suspect and you interrogate him. And at the point of release, oil bunkers
have your intel.
Knew almost all the things he told you.
The founder of Foundation for Investigative Journalism cried the decay in the country's security structure. He stated that oil bunkering may not stop in Nigeria unless complete overhauling of the system takes place.
It cannot stop. It cannot stop because what needs to be done for it to stop will not be done.
Who is involved?
The most powerful people in this country. The most powerful people in this country. Don't forget, the level that I investigated was, the level of going to steal crude from the pipelines and passing it into trucks. We haven't talked about the ships that come into the country, lift crude, unaccounted for. We haven't even reached that point. Just at the point of people going to, steal crude from pipeline, attach hoses, and divert to, and then you get to the headquarters of the army in the south, and you speak, and everything is out. It tells you that some of the highest people in security, in armed forces, are involved. And of course, if people like that are involved, then the political powers are involved as well.
Continuing, Soyombo said the statement by the Nigerian army linking him to illegal bunkering network has compromised his security, expressing concern for his safety. Soyombo also hinted on possibly stepping back from undercover journalism. He said the recent experience may not change his approach to future stories, but he was aware he's running out of time.
We're now going a short break on the news. When we return, tackling unemployment in Nigeria, experts urge youth to embrace entrepreneurship. To stay with us, we'll be back in a bit. Many thanks for staying with us. We now tell you that business experts in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, have called on youths to embrace entrepreneurship as an alternative to unemployment. Speaking in an entrepreneurship summit themed Cultivating Young People for Tomorrow's Economy, they say young Nigerians must move away from the dependence on white-collar jobs, embrace mentorship, and tap into available potential in the nation's thriving business sector.
I've had a very beautiful job in the bank. I have a car to myself. I have everything, but there was I questioning my maker. How did I get here? You told me there was a vision. You told me there was an assignment. And I tell you this morning, when God gives you a true idea, true purpose, it doesn't take you up first. It takes you down first to build process, to build resilience, to build capacity to withstand the challenges and trials that will come after the ideas. Because it is our decision, our choice for us to unveil the processes.
People need to understand that they competed with over 5 million or 500 million sperm that left their father, and they were the one that caught life. So you are not here to try to win. You've been winning, just that you need to continue winning.
Are you going to be at the best advantage of the data or against the data? So everybody needs to realize that you need to work not based on trends, but based on statistics and data. And if you have that at the back of your mind, I think you will pull through. Whatever bad, look, from generation to generation, our father had their own bad times. We're going to have our own bad time. This is not only going to be the only bad time we're going to have. Many are still coming, but you must fortify yourself. You must know what to do. Knowledge is key.
Now to security matters. Armed terrorists attacked the Kungurki community in Kaura Namoda, Zamfara State, killing an elderly man and abducting 13 people, including a mother and a 2-month-old baby. Counter-terrorism expert Zagazola Makama revealed that the attack occurred under the cover of darkness, with gunfire spreading fear. The assailants also looted shops, stealing food, household items, and valuables. Witnesses described the ordeal as terrifying, saying women and children were targeted, while the attackers retreated into the forest. Security experts confirmed the tragic killing of the elderly victim and called for urgent action to address the growing insecurity concern. Now, affected traders of the Idumota market fire in Lagos State have continued to salvage whatever they can from the charred remains of their shops. The spare parts market was razed by a fire late on Friday night. There is still no confirmation as to what may have caused the fire, and there are no records of any casualties. The affected traders are calling on the government to come to their aid in terms of compensation. Our correspondent, Bernard Akede, tells us more.
Another market in Lagos reduced to ashes, and goods worth hundreds of millions of naira all gone. The cause of the fire was still unknown, as at the time we arrived, about 18 hours after the fire started, based on eyewitness reports.
I wouldn't know, but I was called sometime around after 9, because there are some people that stay around here, even by 8:30, they don't know that anything of such is still happening. So it's something around after 9 that I was called. So definitely it's within that range, waiting between 8 or 8:30 or 9. But that's not that we had of it.
Most of the affected traders declined speaking to the press. They were too devastated, counting their losses. Those who spoke said they were just interested in salvaging whatever they could and thinking of what next.
By God's grace, my warehouse didn't get bugged. We were here all night, even to this point, up to now, I've never slept. Trying to prevent the fire from getting to that part of the surrounding. It started from here, moving here. So we were fighting with the fire service men and every other person that came around. So thank God we didn't get to that.
The affected traders are now calling on the government to come to their aid in terms of compensation.
Seriously, I'm really confused. I'm short of words because we lost goods to 4 shops. Tell me, what will we do? What will we do? Some of us don't even have. Look at them working. Some of them don't even have homes. Don't think, okay, good and fine. Some lost their shops, in their life. Tell me, where will they start from? So I don't know if the government could really do something to it. We'll be very happy.
While some eyewitnesses commended the efforts of the fire services and other authorities, this incident again exposes the need for firefighting infrastructure in markets across Lagos. In Lagos for News Central, I'm Bernard Akede.
Now, Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum has strongly criticized the tax reform bills proposed by President Bola Tinubu's administration, warning they could have devastating effects on the northern region and other parts of the country. The controversial bills, which propose using the location of consumption as the basis for sharing value-added tax, have faced stiff opposition from northern stakeholders, including governors, traditional rulers, and the Northern Elders Forum. Despite the backlash, the Senate advanced the bills to a second reading during a heated plenary session on Thursday. Governor Zulum described the proposed reforms as a looming disaster for the North and parts of the Southwest. He cautioned that the changes could leave many states unable to pay workers' salaries, exacerbating hunger, poverty, and insecurity. He called on President Tinubu to reconsider the bills, warning that their implementation will drag the North backward and negatively impact other regions as well. In other news, energy experts in Nigeria have raised concerns over the implementation of the nation's compressed natural gas policy, calling for a critical assessment. They describe the policy as ambiguous and lacking legislative backing. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, tells us more.
The introduction of compressed natural gas as an alternative fuel for transportation has been seen as a cheaper option to the high cost of petrol in Nigeria. However, there are ongoing concerns regarding its safety, accessibility, and affordability, where some experts say that the implementation of the current CNG policy has unrealistic objectives.
In October 12, 2023, when this policy was inaugurated, they set a target of 55,000 CNG-enabled CNG kits to be deployed. 11,500 CNG-enabled vehicles. Where are we? Have they ever been to the National Assembly, to the Committee of Gas and Senate, or have to present a report of how they have operationalized this?
The presidential initiative estimates that we will have 150,000 units of vehicles using CNG by the end of this year. I do not think that we are anywhere near that figure.
While citing examples from countries that have embraced cleaner energy alternatives for a sustainable future, experts say that there is a need for the executive branch of government to engage more with the legislative arm.
It's part of the responsibility of the legislature in their oversight assignment to ensure effective oversight of this sector. 2, enact legislation or amendment 61 to ensure that they are aimed at discouraging unsustainable consumption and production activities.
It is clear that policies centered around energy security, cost-effective transportation, and environmental stewardship must be at the forefront of our legislative agenda as we continue to strive for a future that is economically sound and environmentally sustainable.
The consensus among policy experts here is that it is crucial for the executive to constantly involve the legislature in any policy initiative so as to ensure a sustainable energy future for Nigeria. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Let's now tell you that the Nigerian Armed Forces has secured the highest number of medals won at the just concluded 2024 Africa Military Games, which was held in the nation's capital, clinching a total of 234 medals. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
An end to several days of competing at the highest level of militaries across the African continent, with Team Nigeria securing 114 gold, 65 silver and 45 bronze medals across 21 sporting categories. It was indeed a good outing for the country. Represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, President Bola Tinubu received the overall trophy on behalf of the nation's military amidst massive cheers at the Moshood Abiola Stadium. Algeria finished in second place with 96 medals, 53 gold, 25 silver and 31 bronze medals. Kenya took third place, earning 59 medals in total.
Under the theme Enhancing Military Cooperation in Africa Through Sports, we have witnessed a powerful demonstration of how sports can bridge boundaries, foster friendship, and strengthen bonds among the armed forces of Africa. This year's edition, featuring participants from 20 nations, is a testament to the increasing solidarity and collaboration among African military forces. The athletes have showcased not just their physical prowess, but also their dedication, discipline, and determination, qualities that define the military ethos importantly.
I reiterate unwavering commitment to stabilizing the sub-region and extending that effort across the continent. This is the duty we owe our people. To our esteemed delegates, I thank you on behalf of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for making sacrifices to leave your comfort zones, travel to Nigeria for this significant event. I trust that your expectations have been met.
In the keenly contested competition, Ghana, Ethiopia, and Tunisia made the top 6, finishing 4th, 5th, and 6th, respectively. South Africa, Libya, and Uganda followed in 7th, 8th, and 9th, while Tanzania secured the 10th spot.
Well, it means that there will be synergy among the armed forces of the African nations. And two, the world order will know that Africa is becoming a force to reckon with.
The lessons I've learned that is it doesn't matter from which country, which your color is, we are all here for one thing, and that's to unite Africa through sports and make friendships.
The 2025 edition of the competition will be hosted by Algeria, who secured the first runner-up position. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Coming up on the news, opposition leader rejects Namibian election results. We'll bring you details in a short while. Join us again. We continue with the stories now. Namibia's leading opposition presidential candidate, Panduleni Tula, has announced that his party will not recognize the results of the country's controversially extended election. Speaking on Saturday, just before polls closed on the final day of voting, Itula, leader of the Independent Patriots for Change, accused the process of being marred by chaos and alleged foul play. He noted that regardless of the outcome, the IPC shall not recognize the results of the election. He further stated that his party would pursue legal avenues to nullify the election, urging President Nangolo Mbumba to convene an emergency cabinet meeting to address the situation. The election marks a critical juncture as the IPC seeks to challenge the 34-year rule of the Southwest Africa People's Organization, the SWAPO.
In light of all these grave irregularities that has been reported by our legitimately registered representatives in various of the polling stations, we as IPC and the IPC leadership have reached an unshakable, principled decision to make a statement to the press and to the nation at large that we are people that believes in the rule of law, and we are principled in that regard. The IPC will not and shall not recognize the outcome of these elections, whether this outcome signals a win for the presidential candidate of the IPC, whether a win for the parliamentary seats of the IPC, whether they suggest a runoff because of the outcome. Unfortunately, we cannot allow a situation of this nature to take precedence because it can get worse next time. As IPC, we stand firm in our resolve to fight alongside other political parties that feel the same and are able to travel on the same vehicle to nullify the elections through the processes that are established within our electoral process to ensure that the Namibian people will once again be given an opportunity in order to exercise their...
Still talking elections, Ivory Coast's former First Lady Simone Gbagbo has officially declared a candidacy for the country's 2025 presidential election. Known as the Iron Lady, Gbagbo made the announcement on Saturday during a political movement's inaugural convention in Mosul, near the economic hub of Abidjan. Gbagbo, the ex-wife of former President Laurent Gbagbo, vowed to lead the nation towards a brighter future, pledging to build a stronger and more prosperous Ivory Coast. In her address, she stated that she decided to run in the October 2025 presidential election because she firmly believes that every Ivorian, regardless of their circumstances, has the potential to overcome adversity, to dream, to create, to build, and to succeed. Simone Gbagbo's announcement marks a significant development in the country's political landscape as she steps into the spotlight with ambitions of leading the West African nation. France has initiated the return of approximately 3,500 archaeological artifacts to Ethiopia, held in Paris since the 1980s for research purposes. During a ceremony of the National Museum in Addis Ababa on Saturday, French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot handed over 3 prehistoric Tulsa pair of stone axes known as bifaces and a stone cutter to Ethiopia's tourism minister, Selamawit Kasa. The artifacts are part of a collection excavated from the Melka Contour site, a cluster of prehistoric locations south of Addis Ababa, under the direction of a late French researcher. But emphasized on the tool's significance, noting they represent just a portion of the artifacts being returned. France and Ethiopia share a long-standing partnership in archaeological and paleontological structures. The remaining items currently housed at the French embassy in Addis Ababa are expected to be formally transferred to Ethiopia's Heritage Directorate on Tuesday. Outside of Africa, we tell you that Pope Francis has called on Lebanese politicians on Sunday to urgently elect a new president with a view of restoring normal government functions in the country. Francis stated that Lebanon's institutions need to start functioning normally again in order to undertake the necessary reforms and sustain the country's role as an example of peaceful cohabitation between different religions. Meanwhile, Lebanese parliamentary speaker Nabi Berri has called the presidential election for January 9 in a bid to end a 2-year leadership vacuum. Recall that Lebanon has been without a president since Michel Aoun's term ended in October 2022.
Mi rallegro per il cessate il fuoco che è stato raggiunto nei giorni scorsi in Libano e auspico che esso possa essere rispettato da tutte le parti, permettendo così alla popolazione della regione interessata nel conflitto, sia libanese sia israeliana, di tornare presto e in sicurezza a casa. In questa situazione rivolgo un pressante invito a tutti i politici libanesi affinché venga eletto subito il Presidente della Repubblica e le istituzioni ritrovano il loro normale funzionamento per procedere alle necessarie riforme e assicurare il Paese sul ruolo dell'esempio di convivenza pacifica tra le differenti religioni. E preghiamo per la Siria, dove purtroppo la guerra si è riaccesa causando molte vittime. Sono molto vicino alla Chiesa in Siria. Preghiamo.
We also tell you that Romanians return to the polls on Sunday to elect a new parliament, with the far right poised to make significant gains. The outcome could signal a potential shift in the foreign policy of the NATO member nation, which shares a border with war-torn Ukraine. This parliamentary vote follows political upheaval triggered by a top court's order for a recount in the first round of the presidential election held on November 24. That contest was won by Călin Gogescu, a relatively unknown far-right figure and vocal admirer of Russian President Vladimir Putin. A runoff for the presidency is scheduled for December 8. Despite allegations of Russian influence and claims of election interference through TikTok, voting for the parliamentary elections proceeded as planned. Polling stations opened at 7 a.m. local time and closed at 9 p.m., with exit polls expected shortly afterwards. The first official results are anticipated later in the evening as the nation watches closely for indications of its political and foreign policy trajectory. In sports, Kenyan World Half Marathon champion Sebastian Sawe cruised to victory with the final 7 kilometers under his grasp, winning the 2024 Valencia Marathon on Sunday with a world lead time. Making his marathon debut, the 28-year-old Kenyan looked comfortable over the distance, crossing the distance and finishing in a blistering 2 hours, 12 minutes and 5 seconds. Sawe finished 33 seconds ahead of the next best finisher, Deresa Geleta of Ethiopia, with compatriot Daniel Mateko rounding out the podium in 2 hours, 4 minutes and 24 seconds. UK sports journalist Ben Fleming has commended Liverpool manager Arne Slot for his remarkable work in guiding the Reds through a seamless transition for Jurgen Klopp's era. Fleming highlighted the team's impressive start to the season on News Central's flagship sports program In the Game, describing their performance as flawless so far.
Well, I think it's definitely the transition from Klopp to Slot has gone a lot smoother than I think a lot of people would have expected. I think when you have someone like David Moyes coming in after Sir Alex Ferguson, or Unai Emery when he came in after Arsene Wenger at Arsenal, there was the transition period that took a while, and clearly with Slot, he has just been able to pick up where Klopp left off and really take this team forward. I don't know whether we've seen it for a long enough period yet to say for certain whether this is the best side that Liverpool have ever been. I mean, some of the sides that Jurgen Klopp produced, the one that won the league, the one that won the Champions League, they were incredible sides, and obviously further back with Benitez and other managers. But I think certainly this is a start for Liverpool that nobody would have expected, and I think Slot deserves.
And that's all at this hour, but before we go, we'll look at our top stories again. President Bola Tinubu to co-chair 11th Nigeria-South Africa Bi-National Commission session with President Ramaphosa. Terrorists strike Zamfara State, killing elderly, abduct 13. Namibian opposition leader accuses the presidential electoral process of being marred by chaos and alleged foul play. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Arvo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.